which is a visual scripting language. So if you are not familiar with coding, don't worry, we will teach you how to get further. उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे दैट इज कैरेक्टर एनिमेशंस एंड कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट. हम लोग कैरेक्टर को सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में सो दैट यू कैन वॉक विद योर कैरेक्टर, एनिमेट हो गया एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड एक बार वो सब हो गया है वी विल मूव ऑन टू द शूटिंग मैकेनिक्स जिसमें वी टीच यू हाउ टू शूट द प्लेयर, हाउ टू शूट गन्स एंड जो प्लेयर को लगेगा बुलेट वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे. उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट. एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है, वो पार्ट हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना है, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा. एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट. वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस. यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे. जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं. And especially I will give you my inside tips and tricks.
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. Register करो और हमसे आके मिलो.
Hi guys. So are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animation to those characters. इनका look and feel change करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक characters के लिए multiple cosmetics बनाए. So in game, each and every character can choose to look different. We have created stylized bags जो हमारे लोगों को emit करते हैं. Now about the map designing, the theme would be stated as dusty abandoned colony. We have also created a dusty ground with the help of exponential height fog which is available in the Unreal Engine, and light assets हर एक जगह पे paste किए with proper tint to make the environment look fantastic.
Hi, so I will teach you how to create an online GI Battle Royale game. The first thing we will देखेंगे is the blueprints in Unreal Engine, which is a visual scripting language. So if you are not familiar with coding, don't worry, we will teach you how to get further. उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे दैट इज कैरेक्टर एनिमेशंस एंड कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट. हम लोग कैरेक्टर को सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में सो दैट यू कैन वॉक विद योर कैरेक्टर, एनिमेट हो गया एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड एक बार वो सब हो गया है वी विल मूव ऑन टू द शूटिंग मैकेनिक्स जिसमें वी टीच यू हाउ टू शूट द प्लेयर, हाउ टू शूट गन्स एंड जो प्लेयर को लगेगा बुलेट वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे. उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट. एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है, वो पार्ट हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना है, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा. एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट. वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस. यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे. जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं. And especially I will give you my inside tips and tricks.
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. Register करो और हमसे आके मिलो.
Hi guys. So are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animations to those characters. इनका look and feel change करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक characters के लिए multiple cosmetics बनाए. So in game, each and every character can choose to look different. We have created stylized bags जो हमारे लोगो emit करते हैं. Now other than that designing, the theme would be stated as dusty abandoned colony. We have also created a dusty ground with the help of exponential height fog which is available in the Unreal Engine, and light assets हर एक जगह पे place किए with proper tint to make the environment look fantastic.
Hi, so I will teach you how to create an online GI battle royale game. The first thing we will देखेंगे is the blueprints in Unreal Engine, which is the visual scripting language. So if you are not familiar with coding, don't worry, we will teach you how to get further. उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे दैट इज कैरेक्टर एनिमेशंस एंड कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट. हम लोग कैरेक्टर को सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में सो दैट यू कैन वॉक विद योर कैरेक्टर, एनिमेट हो गया एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड एक बार वो सब हो गया है, वी विल मूव ऑन टू द शूटिंग मैकेनिक्स जिसमें वी टीच यू हाउ टू शूट द प्लेयर, हाउ टू शूट गन्स एंड जो प्लेयर को लगेगा बुलेट वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे. उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट. एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है, वो पार्ट को हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना है, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा. एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट. वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस. यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे. जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं. And especially I will give you my inside tips and tricks.
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. Register करो और हमसे आके मिलो.
Hi guys, so are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects are our characters that we have found on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and we have retargeted the startup and animations to those characters. इनका look and feel change करने के लिए हम लोग ने हर एक characters के लिए multiple cosmetics बनाए. So in game, each and every character can choose to look different. We have created stylized bags जो हमारे लोगो emit करते हैं. Now other than that designing, the theme would be stated as dusty abandoned colony. We have also created a dusty ground with the help of exponential height fog which is available in the Unreal Engine, and light assets हर एक जगह पे place किए with proper tint to make the environment look fantastic.
Hi, so I will teach you how to create an online GI battle royale game. The first thing we will देखेंगे is the blueprints in Unreal Engine, which is the visual scripting language. So if you are not familiar with coding, don't worry, we will teach you how to get further. उसके बाद जो फर्स्ट थिंग हम लोग सीखेंगे दैट इज कैरेक्टर एनिमेशंस एंड कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट. हम लोग कैरेक्टर को सेटअप करेंगे हमारे लेवल में सो दैट यू कैन वॉक विद योर कैरेक्टर, एनिमेट हो गया एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड एक बार वो सब हो गया है, वी विल मूव ऑन टू द शूटिंग मैकेनिक्स जिसमें वी टीच यू हाउ टू शूट द प्लेयर, हाउ टू शूट गन्स एंड जो प्लेयर को लगेगा बुलेट वो सब ट्रैवलिंग कैसा होगा वो सब हम लोग देखेंगे. उसके बाद आता है हमारा नेटवर्किंग पार्ट. एक बार हम लोग का पूरा लॉजिक रेडी है, वो पार्ट को हम लोग को नेटवर्क पे कैसे ट्रैवल करना है, जो चीज हमारे स्क्रीन पर हो रही है दूसरे स्क्रीन पर भी दिखनी चाहिए, वो हमारा नेटवर्किंग का पार्ट होगा. एक बार वो सब हो जाएगा देन वी विल मूव ऑन टू द पार्टिकल इफेक्ट जिससे हम लोग थोड़ा और ग्लोरीफाई करेंगे लेवल को, थोड़ा और बेटर दिखेगा पार्टिकल इफेक्ट. वो सब होने के बाद आता है हमारा एंड में यूजर इंटरफेस. यूजर इंटरफेस इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके वजह से ही हम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर पाएंगे. जब भी कोई प्लेयर ऑन करता है अपना गेम तो वो लॉबी में कनेक्ट होता है, फ्रेंड्स को इनवाइट करता है, एक साथ वो लोग बैठ के एक ही लॉबी में एक ही गेम खेलते हैं. And especially I will give you my inside tips and tricks.
By the end of the workshop, you will have gained a solid understanding of game development process and have an amazing insight. And you must be ready and have the skill to develop your own high quality games. So what are you waiting for? Register now and join the game development workshop today. रजिस्टर करो और हमसे आके मिलो।
Hi guys, so are you interested to create your own multiplayer high-end game? Then join Game Institute's GI Battleground workshop. In this workshop, you will be learning about game design, network programming, server infrastructure, player matchmaking, and much more. By using industry standard software called Unreal Engine 5, you will develop your own high-end multiplayer game and receive feedback from experienced game developers.
So these are the secrets we will be revealing in this GI Battle Royale workshop. Understanding the basic game implementation, creating your own game physics and game mechanics, build out character abilities such as spawning scene objects and much more, creating logic for different game modes, multiplayer networking and server architecture, testing graphics, audio, music and etc. End of thinking capacity.
So I'm here to talk about the designing aspect of this game. The first part of the designing aspects.
Hello guys, I hope my mic is audible. Yes. Okay, so hi everyone, myself Harsh Bhagwat, and I am an Unreal Engine mentor here at Game Institute India, and this is going to be a live stream session in which we will be creating a game that is themed, that is based on Astrobot. If you might have heard about that game, it recently got the Game of the Year award. So we won't be completely following that mechanics and the ideology of the game. We'll be taking small bits and hints from that game and we'll try to create our own. We'll add some mechanics. Okay, so yeah, before we start anything, I just wanted to give you an overview about Game Institute India. So you can learn more about Game Institute India. You can visit our site gameinstituteindia.com. Okay, so here you can browse our website and you can see that what all various courses we have. We have VFX, game design, game development courses, everything from 3D modeling to 2D designing. Alright, so if you browse our website, you will be able to see all the courses that are available here, including AR, VR, game development, everything. So yeah, you can go through all that once and you can contact the branch if you are interested in learning any of the things that you see today on the live stream session. Alright, so with that being said, let's start with the summary of the game that we'll be making. So as I said earlier, we'll be making a game that is themed or that is based on the theme of Astrobot. So what I was thinking for this game was we'll be having a robot as our main character, and then we'll have kind of a futuristic environment. We'll have some enemies as well which we'll try to shoot. So for that we'll have to implement some shooting mechanics and we'll create a level. Depends, if we go in too much detail, we'll just create one level which is detailed and we can roam around it. It is basically going to be a third person shooter that is based on Astrobot game. Alright, so to begin with, I have Unreal Engine 5.5 installed and I have created a third person template project here, as you can see, and there are some packs, there are some asset packs that I have imported in my game to save time. So in the bottom you can see inside my content browser I have cyberpunk music pack in which I have different music and audio cues. Alright, after that I have the cyberpunk industries pack, inside which you get all different types of building materials used to create an environment, a futuristic one. After that I have the radical mic asset pack. Now this asset pack is currently free on Epic Games, the Fab Epic store. So if you wanted to see, I can just show you that. I'll open the Epic Games launcher and inside here if I go to Unreal Engine, and library. I'll just search radical robots. So here it is the asset pack, as you can see. So there is this robot guy. This is going to be our main character, and there are multiple animations used for this character as well. They have provided us with the animations. Okay, so yeah, there are different animations and it is a good quality robot. Alright, so we'll be integrating this asset pack inside our game. So let's begin with that. Alright, so inside my Unreal Engine project that I have created, if I hit the play button, you can see that here is my third person character, and I have a movable character, so that is part of Unreal Engine's game third person template. So this is one of the, I'd say, cool things or the quality of life things that Unreal Engine provides, along with other things that are used in big scale productions. And what do you say, game development is their core, but along with that they have templates, they have game ready templates for almost everything. Like when you are about to create your Unreal Engine project, they have created templates for you to start with almost everything that you need. So since I have selected my third person template, I have my third person character running and up and running, I'd say. Okay, and along with that you can use Unreal Engine for many other things such as VR, virtual reality, then AR development. There are many things, 2D games, 3D games that you can do. Alright, so that is basically Unreal Engine for you, and today by using that we will try to create this game. Also, this game will be too huge to cover it inside one single episode or one single stream. So what we'll be doing is we'll be creating it in parts, and our stream will take place every Tuesday, that is. Alright, so every Tuesday we will have this live stream at 5 p.m. in the evening. Okay, so yeah, with the intro being said, let's start with the actual process of creating our game. So the first step that we require in creating our game is setting up our character. Alright, so to set up our character, there are a few things that we require inside Unreal Engine 5. We first of all require the skeletal mesh, that is the basic, the mesh that you see here of the silver guy, the mannequin guy. This is basically the skeletal mesh. So that is the first and basic thing that you require. After that, there are some essentials that you require, such as the skeleton, the physics asset, and other textures and everything of your character if you wish to replace the one that is present inside Unreal Engine 5. So just like I said, we are going to use the radical mic asset pack. Inside this, if I go into the mesh folder, you can see all the required assets are present over here, namely the three assets that I require: the physics asset, skeleton, and the skeletal mesh are present here. So if I just double click on the skeletal mesh, you can see there is this skeletal mesh that is present. This I can use to replace my character. Alright, also these are the like basic things, but apart from that we also require the animations. So if I go into the animations folder, you can see that there are plentiful of animations that they have already provided us. So here I can search for idle and I'll find multiple idle animations here. Okay, so now using that we'll be creating our own character. Just wait for a second. Yeah, that's done. Oh, okay, so here I'll create my folder and call it blueprints. I'll just change its color so that I can recognize it. Okay, so inside blueprints I'll create yet another folder. I'll call it characters, and here I'll create a blueprint class. This will be of type character. Okay, I'll name this Mike, or maybe let's keep it simple and let's name it a robot. Okay, so we have our character class right here, and now if I double click and open this class, you can see that this is an empty class. There is no character mesh or any other thing that is present over here. So one by one we need to replace these things with the robot that we have. Let's start from the mesh. I'll go into the skeletal mesh asset, and I don't know the name of that guy. This thing. Okay, so as you can see, we have it in here. Alright, so just move it a bit to the upper side, and then maybe reduce this to 70, and then yeah, I guess that's fine. Maybe a bit back. Okay, so there we have it. We have our character that is imported inside our character blueprint class that we just created. Now the main question remains that we need to have animations for this. Alright, so for animations, what I'll do is I'll go into my content browser and I'll just create my own folder. I'll call it my animations. Okay, and here what we need to do is we need to first of all create an animation blueprint. Okay, so this will be for the skeleton of Mega Mike, I guess, ABP underscore robot. Okay, so now we have created our animation blueprint, and now in here I need to add some animations that I want to play. Alright, so here I'll be using a state machine. I'll just create a state machine and I'll name it locomotion. Okay, now inside this state machine I need to have some states. Okay, so for the states I need some animations. So let's start by creating a blend space. I go into animation and then in legacy and blend space 1D. Okay, for the same skeleton, blend space underscore robot underscore IWR. IWR stands for idle, walk and run. Alright, so inside this blend space I'll have to drag some animations. So let's start from idle. Yeah, you can see there's the animation. Okay, so before dragging in we had to set up the blend space, so let's do that. The horizontal axis will be named speed. Its minimum value will be 0. The maximum will be, let's say for now I'll keep it 500, and the idle one will be on 0. Okay, so when the speed is 0, our character will be playing the idle animation as you can see above. Alright, after that I want the walk animation, so I'll place it and I'll change the value of walk to 150. So if I hold my control key on the keyboard and I slide on this line, you can preview how the animations will change between idle and walk. Okay, now after that I want to add my run animation. Now they have provided us with 2 run animations. Actually there are 4, but those are the chase animations, so I just want run or run faster. Let's try run. This is the normal run. Okay, I'll delete it and I'll drag the run faster. Right, that seems a bit aggressive, so I'll just delete it and I'll drag and then drop the run animation, and I'll set its value to 500. Okay, so now if I hold control on my keyboard and I drag my slider, this is the walk animation when the speed will be 150, and this will be the run animation for some higher speed, that is 500. I guess we should reduce that value, but let's leave that for later. Alright, so now if I come into my animations, let's just my animations inside this. Now I can create a state and I'll name it idle slash walk slash run. Okay, so this saves us some time. Instead of using the blend space directly in your anim graph here, like I can also use this here and then I can connect it, but instead of doing this you can use a state machine and then we'll have some jump animations here, the jump start, falling loop and everything. But for now let's just set up our basic locomotion animation. So for this we'll be using the blend space. Okay, okay, now after this we have to promote this to a variable. I'll just promote it to a variable. I'll let the name be speed. Okay, so what we have to do is, now we can go back. We have the locomotion state machine ready. Now we need to go to the event graph, and here we need to do some things. For example, we need to cast to rbp underscore robot. Okay, but we won't be directly casting. We'll promote it first to a variable since we might use it later on. We'll just name it to robot ref. Now we don't want it to cast every time, so I'll get a validated get, and now if my robot reference is not valid, I'll do the casting. Otherwise what I'll do is I'll just get the robot ref and I'll get the velocity, this one. Now I'll also require my velocity, so I'll just make a new variable for that as well, and I'll set it here. If it is valid, do this, but if it is not valid, do the casting and then do this. Okay, oh okay, my bad. I could have promoted this actually. Oh, this needs to be vector, my bad, sorry. Yes, change variable type, it's not going to break anything. Alright, so now we can set our velocity here, and we also need to set our speed. So we cannot directly give speed to our velocity, we just need the vector length. Okay, this we can plug into speed. Alright, so now we have our speed and our velocity, two different things ready to go. Now sorry, can go inside. Why is this open twice? I can go inside my state. We have our speed connected here, and our anim graph has our locomotion state machine connected. Okay, so that is the basic of our animation setup. Now we need to provide some inputs to our character. So for those inputs, what I'll do is I'll go into my content folder. I will create a new folder here. I'll name it inputs. Okay, inside inputs I want to create actually another folder. I'll call it input actions. Okay, so here what we'll be doing is we will create an input mapping context which will handle all the inputs for our character, and then we will be creating our input actions inside this folder. Okay, so let me just create an input mapping context. I'll go into input and then input mapping context. Okay, I'll name it imc underscore robot. So if I double click this, you can see this is how an input mapping context looks like. You can add multiple mappings. Now these are the pre-created mappings, input actions that are present. We need to create our own. It threw me an error because there is no current mapping that I have given it, so just ignore this for now. I can clear this, and now I can go inside input actions and I can create my custom input actions. Okay, so I'll just click input and go on input action. I'll name this IA movement, or rather IA movement. What should I name it? Robot move, or maybe move underscore robot. Okay, I'll just create all of them and then change their individual values. Underscore look, the move look, these are the basic ones that we need. After that I'll also create the jump. Okay, so look, move and jump, these are the basic input actions that we need. Let's start from move. I'll double click it, and all I have to do is change the value type to axis 2D, which is a vector 2D. Okay, for move. For look also it will be an axis 2D, and for jump it is going to be a digital bool. Okay, so we have our input action setup. Let's go into our input mapping context. Yeah, never mind, someone is commenting hello and I cannot recognize your language, so could you please comment in English? I am not aware about your language, sorry. Yeah, so as I was saying, inside mappings I want to add my custom mappings. So first of all I'll start with my move. Now since there are two moves, I wanted to move, since there are two input actions of the same name, that is move, I named mine with an extra robot word at the end. Okay, so keep that in mind. You might get confused between two input actions of the same name. Alright, so inside move what I want to do is I want to add 4 keys which are W, A, S and D. Okay, so I'll just add 4 different keys. I added 5. Now W, S, D and A. Okay, so for W it is going to be the same, no modifiers. For S I'll just add an extra modifier. I'll name it. Inside S I'll add a modifier, and that will be the negate modifier. Okay, so why is this? Since on one axis when I press W it will be giving me a positive value, and on S it will give me a negative value, so that's why I added the negate modifier. Okay, now similarly for D and A we also want to change the input axis value, right? So for that we'll add one modifier here. I'll call it swizzle input axis values, and for A we'll need two of them. Okay, swizzle and negate. All right, yeah, so that is done. Now that is done for the move input action. For the next one I'll just close this. For the next one we have jump. So for jump we can use the spacebar key, so that will be for jump. The next we had is look. Okay, so for look we will be having a mouse XY 2D axis. Okay, we might need to add a modifier, that will be negate on the Z or YY axis, I guess. Let's see, we'll change that later. Alright, so now let's come to the coding part. Inside my robot blueprint, I'm just looking for, yeah, never mind. Okay, yeah, so here to start with getting the inputs from your input mapping context, you have to first get your player controller. Get player controller. Okay, from that you get the enhanced input local player subsystem, and from here you can add the mapping context. Alright, so for the mapping context we'll select our IMC robot, so that gives us access to all the input actions that are mentioned inside our IMC robot. Okay, so now what I can do is I can just right click and search IA underscore move robot. Okay, so this gives me my starting node for the move input action. From here what I can do is triggered, I can add movement input. Okay, now for the movement input I need to provide it with the world direction and the scale. So for the scale I'll use the x-axis for the scale value. Let's just do trial and error right here. And for the world direction what I'll do is get, do we need rotation actually for this? We do need the forward vector actually. Just a minute. Yeah, so as I was saying, yeah, am I visible? Is my camera not visible? Okay, I am actually. So for this we first of all need the control rotation. So let's search control rotation, and here I can just split the struct pin. and I can get my forward vector, and here I can take the roll and yaw, and I can plug it inside my add movement input. Okay, so this will work for my forward direction. Now for my sideways direction, I need to use yet another add movement input node, and in this one I need my control rotation and my right vector. Okay, for this I guess I'll only use the yaw, pull the world direction, and after that the scale value inside here. Now let's see if that works, or did I jumble the two of them together. Okay, so that is for the movement. Let's just try the movement first. And also I wanted to create one more blueprint, that is my game mode. So I'll just create another folder. I'll call it game modes, and inside I'll create a game mode, gm underscore robot. Maybe we'll name every file of our game to robot, because that is what our game is about. Okay, so inside this I'll just change my default pawn class to bp robot. Okay, and now I have to use this inside my world. So I'll just use gm robot. Now if I click on play, you can see that my robot is actually spawning. If I have to see here, you can see my robot is actually spawning, but the problem is that I did not use a camera. So let's just quickly go back and add a camera inside this. So I'll just click on add. First of all, I need a spring arm to hold the camera in place. I'll just name it camera boom, yeah, because it won't explode. And also I'll add an camera. Alright, so I'll go into the viewport. I'll click on my camera boom. Its target arm length should be 450, and I can bring it a bit above. Okay, so that is our camera set. Now if I play, you can see I can go W and S, A and D. Okay, so now my character can move. Alright, but what is missing is we did not use the animation blueprint for our character, so it is moving around like it has been possessed by someone. So we actually want a moving character, animated one. So what I'll do is select my robot class, and inside the anim class I'll just select my ABP robot, and now you can see it has got an idle animation playing. So if I go into here, you can see my robot can now move around. Alright, so let's add some camera inputs. I'll just comment out my code. Those are the movement inputs. Now we need to add the camera inputs. Okay, so I'll just search for IA look robot, and inside this I want to add controller pitch and yaw. Let's see which one works for which one. So pitch and controller yaw input, X is for, I don't know, let's try both of them. Okay, yeah, so it is working, but it is inverted, so this goes here and X goes here. Or alternatively, what I can do is this. Okay, so now my camera is moving sideways, but it is not moving vertically. So for that I need to go to the camera boom. Let's check some settings. Inherit, I don't want it to roll, I want pitch and yaw. Also use pawn control rotation. Yeah, now you can see my camera is moving around. But now I have one last issue, that is my character or my robot, it is moving sideways. I mean, it is sliding actually, it's not even moving sideways, it is sliding sideways. So let's just quickly fix that. I'll go into my robot. Inside my class settings, I'll just search for orient rotation to movement, and once I turn that on, boom, it still does not work. Yeah, so let's just fix that. Let's just turn on another setting, this one, use controller desired rotation. Okay, it's still not working. Now let's go into the robot and let's see what we are missing. So we do not want it to inherit, actually it does not even inherit anything. So control rotation, use controller yaw. I don't think so, it should use controller yaw. Alright, so there it is, you can see. Now the direction of input that you give to your character, it will be running or moving around in that particular direction. Alright, so now you can see we have our basic character setup inside our game. It at least moves around with inputs and smooth animations. Okay, so let's just change a few settings. First of all, I'll go into project settings, I'll search for auto exposure, I'll turn that off. Also motion blur, I'll turn that off. Okay, so now you can see our character looks a bit better. Alright, so now the next thing, let's add some additional functionality to our game. For example, let's add a sprint function. If you remember, inside our blend space we had a walk mode by default, or the walk animation by default, but by default our character is running. Okay, so let's change that. For that, what I need to do is go into the character movement and change my max walk speed to 500 first. After that, I need a input for sprinting. I'll just comment this. Alright, now I need another input that is used for my sprinting mechanism. So I'll just go into my input actions, and I'll create another input action. I'll call it IA underscore sprint. Okay, and now inside my input mapping context, I'll add a new mapping which will be the sprint. For this we'll use the shift key. Okay, and now here I can right click and search for IA underscore sprint. Alright, so when my action is triggered, I want to set my max walk speed to something which is going to be my max walk speed. Alright, so I'll take the character movement reference and I'll set max walk speed. Okay, we'll set it to 500, and when I leave my sprint button, I'll duplicate this, cancelled or completed. I want this to be 150 by default so that my robot can walk. Also, I need to change the default character movement setting, which is max walk speed. I'll set this to 150. Now let's play, and you can see my character is walking, and when I hold shift it start sprinting. Okay, again I feel like my character is walking a bit too much slower, so what can we do to fix that? Maybe we can play the animation a little bit faster, I guess. Let's try to do that from our blend space, which is inside this. Yeah, so I'll select the walk animation actually from here, and I'll change its scale to 1.5x. Okay, rate scale, it determines how fast your animation is getting played, so I'll set it to 1.5. let's test it now. Okay, now it seems perfect. Alright, now my robot is walking around. I can use left shift and it will start sprinting. Okay, so now all that remains to do is my jump functionality. Okay, so let's try and implement our jump functionality. Okay, so for that we need to have some certain jump animations. We need to have a jump start animation. After that we need a falling loop animation, and in the end we require a jump end animation. Okay, so I am pretty sure these people who have made the radical mic asset pack already have these three animations. So I'll search for jump, and we have the jump end, jump start, and the jump apex is what I'm guessing. Yeah, is the looping animation which is going to be played when the robot is falling. Okay, so let's just head to our animation blueprint inside my animations ABP robot. Okay, so now comes the jump part. Okay, here we will require three different states, so I'll just create them one by one. I'll add a state, I'll call it jump start. I'll add another state, it will be the add state, it will be the fall loop, and then from here add state, it will be named jump end, and then from here you can transition back to the idle walk or run animation or any other animation that will be having in the future. Okay, also you can start falling from your idle walk run animations, so that is another requirement. Now inside state machine, if you have ever used a state machine, you will know that to transition from one state to another you require some certain rules. These are called the transition rules. If you double click on it, you can see there is a warning, which means we have compiled the blueprint without giving it a condition to transition between the two states. Alright, so how can we do that? You need to tell it when can it transition from the idle state, idle walk or run state, to the jump start state. Okay, so for this we require our robot reference or yeah, actually we need this, and from this we need the is falling component. Okay, so what is the is falling boolean? So this boolean returns true if it is currently falling. Also it will return true if it is not on the ground. So that is what exactly we need. If this is true, which means if my player is not on the ground, it can play the jump start animation, which will tell the state machine that my player has started jumping. Okay, but it is not going to be enough, so I'll just use and boolean. Along with that, we need to check the velocity. Now the velocity that we have earlier got from the event graph, where we got the robot reference and we got the velocity from there, so we are going to use that. So we need to check if my velocity on my z axis, now the z axis is going to be the vertical axis. As you can see on the bottom left, the z axis is the vertical axis. So if my robot jumps, it is going to go in the positive direction first, and then when it falls, it is going to go into the negative direction on my z axis. Okay, so I am just going to check if my value on the z axis is greater than 0, and only then I can make the transition from idle to jump start. Here you can see it. Okay, now from jump start to for loop, how do we determine if my player needs to start the for loop? For that, we just need to check if my previous animation is completed playing up till a certain part. Okay, so I'll just right click, get relevant anim time remaining in fraction of jump start. Okay, so this is the node that we want. It will give the remaining animation time of the jump start animation. So I'll say when this is going to be less than, let's say 0.7 maybe, or let's yes, or maybe just 1. When it's going to be less than 1, it can enter the transition. Okay, we can change these values later on depending on how our animations feel. Okay, after that we have got the two of the top animations. Let's come to the middle. Now when will our player transition from idle to falling? This will happen when my player is falling, which means my is falling should be true. Okay, so my is falling should be true, and along with that, my velocity on the z axis should be less than 0. Why less than 0? Because when it is falling, the velocity will go into the negative of my z axis. Okay, and that is the condition that we require for falling. Okay, now when will it go into a transition from fall into jump, and when my is falling will become false when my is falling will become false. So I'll use a not boolean for that, which will give me the opposite value. And when my velocity on z split will be equal to 0, when it is equal to 0, I can say that my player has landed on the ground. Okay, now the last thing that remains is my jump and to my idle walk run. For this I'll again use the get relevant anim time remaining in fraction of jump end, and this will be less than, let's say, 0.7 again, because why not, and compile. It can enter my transition. Okay, now where does it seem to give us a warning? Let's check that one by one. Alright, never mind, we'll just first of all set everything and then we'll go to the warnings. So now we have created a loop that will follow, that our player will follow whenever he is jumping or falling off a ledge. So when he is jumping, he'll start from the idle, he'll go to jump start, then fall, then jump end, and then back to his original state. So we also need to assign the animations that are going to be played for these individual states. So for jump start, I'll just double click on it. I need to give it an animation. So here, if I select search jump, we have the jump start. I'll compile. For the fall loop, we have the jump apex. Okay. And for the jump end, we have the jump end. Alright, so we have all the animations set up. Now what is this telling us? Scan enter transition character movement. What is this warning? Result uses potentially thread unsafe, shall get character movement. Disable threaded update or user threads. Okay, it is saying it is not safe. So what we can do is we can delete this. We should have done this earlier technically, because we have used it in multiple places. Actually here, and then not here. Yes, it is here, so I'll delete it. It's here, so I'll delete it. I'll tell you in a minute what I'm actually doing. Yeah, so instead of using the get is falling from the robot reference, what we'll do is we'll go into our anim graph, not the anim graph, we need the event graph, and inside here, whenever the animation is updating, what we'll do is we'll get our robot reference, we'll get the is falling, okay, and then we'll promote this inside our animation blueprint. I'll just call it is falling. Okay, so now we do not have to get the reference for it again and again. Instead of that, what I can do is I'll just go and I'll check if my is falling is true for the first one, and after that, if my is falling is true, then here and then here we need to check if I am falling, and for the last one I'll just go into my for loop and I'll check if my is falling is not true. Alright, so just like that we got rid of all our error warnings. Those are not technically errors, but those were potential warnings that can cause damage to your performance of the game and might potentially lead to some errors in the future. Okay, so now let's go into our robot and we need to set an input action for our jump. So this was our sprint. So I guess I have a jump, yeah, jump robot. Whenever this action is started, we do not have to keep it inside triggered, or else it will just keep jumping infinitely as long as you hold the jump key. So I'll place it on started, simply call the jump function, and on cancelled and completed, I'll call the stop jumping. Okay, I'll just comment it. I'll call this jump. Alright, so now if I play, if I jump, you can see my character is jumping smoothly. Alright, perfect. I just want to increase the jump velocity, jump Z velocity to maybe 550. Let's see if that's correct. I guess it's a bit too much, but we'll change it later on. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, we have a working player that is moving around, and you can see it has all the smooth animations playing inside it. When it is standing in idle, you can see that it has an idle animation. You can make it walk, can make it jump, and you can sprint while using the sprint key. So all the animations that we wanted, we have implemented inside our robot. Along with the animations, we also have implemented our input systems. Okay, so the next part is adding some other functionalities. So we have two options. We can either start with creating our environment, or we can start with adding some extra functionalities like the shooting mechanism maybe, or some other attack mechanisms, or some other attack animations. So we'll just look at what all animations we have available inside our radical mic folder. So I'll just go into animations, and if you search for shoot, there is nothing apparently, but inside my mesh there are two things. There is a radical buster, that is the gun of our robot that they have given. You can double click and open it. Sorry, so this is kind of a gun that we can shoot bullet out of. And the second thing that we have is a power pod. Now maybe I was thinking that we can have this power pod as our mission. So maybe we have an environment or a map in which you have to fight your way through enemies. You can add a time limitation to your game. Along with that, you will have to go in a certain place and you will have to collect this power pod, which will be located in a certain place inside the map, and then the robot will have to steal this power pod for himself and then fight his way back out from the environment or the map that we decide to design. Okay, so this is what I was thinking. So technically we can attach this static mesh to our character. I guess they have already given it. Wait, let's showcase actors. Yeah, you can see the power pod attaches on the back of the robot, and there is the gun that is attached. You can attach it to either of the arms that you desire. So we can maybe make a functionality like stealing the power pod and doing something with it, but it's a later topic, so we'll not go into it right now. We'll progress as we develop our game. Okay, so yeah, I guess the next step should be creating an environment or creating some gameplay mechanics. So what do you guys think? What should be next for us? Should we start creating an environment for our game, or should we proceed with creating more mechanics such as the melee attack or the shooting mechanism? We can launch projectiles and shoot. So if anyone watching wants to give an opinion on what to do next, that will be considered. Okay, so if you want, you can chat in the, of course, chat section. So let me know what you want next. But whatever we will be doing, we will be doing it, and it will require time. It will require a huge amount of our time. So yeah, I guess we already did most of the task of setting up our character for today. We have a beautifully rusted robot which somehow will be fighting enemies and shooting projectiles, which I don't particularly believe him, but yeah, he will, guys. You will see later. Okay, so I guess in the next session we will be creating our shooting mechanics. We'll make it shoot some bullets, shoot some projectiles, make a launcher system which will launch projectiles. We'll add bullets, sorry. And then once we are done with the inputs and animations part overall, we will be heading into the environment designing part. So yeah, I guess this was all for today. If anybody has any doubts or any queries that they want to ask, you guys can ask, or else we can stop the live stream. Come on, guys, there are 9 or 10 people almost watching. So if anyone has any doubt related to what we did today, you guys can ask it. Don't be shy. I know you guys know Unreal Engine, that's why you are watching. Alright, so Ice Cube is asking, can you create this thing in C++? Yes, definitely, why not? C++, yes. So C++, as you might know, is the backend of blueprints. So the blueprint coding that we use, C++ is the backend used for doing these things. Doing it in C++ might or might not give you some extra functionality, depends on the way that you code. But yeah, surely this thing can be done in C++. But since we have started this project in Blueprint, I prefer to be continuing this project inside Blueprints. So yes, Ice Cube sir, maybe next time we can try in C++. Yeah, and Vivo is sending a heart for you too. Yeah. And I guess since none of you guys have any doubts, so we will end our live stream since we have done enough for today. Proceeding any further will require a great amount of time. So yeah, we will be stopping here today. Thank you all for joining, and once again, if you are watching and if you are interested in learning anything that was taught today in this live stream, you can contact the Game Institute India headquarters. You can contact us from our website, you can send an email, or you can place a call and inquire about all the available courses that we have. So yeah, don't forget to start learning Unreal Engine 5, and if you have any queries, drop them in the comments and I'll surely solve them later. Alright, so till then, take care, keep learning Unreal Engine 5, and see you guys later.